today. Instead, immigration was his focus.
Today, he signed the state's new immigration policy into law. News 6's Treasurer Roberts is live in the newsroom with a look at the new penalties for businesses that employ undocumented workers. And Treasurer, you learned there is a lot of concern tonight in the migrant community.
Lisa, migrants are downright afraid that their livelihoods will be destroyed. Some of them wonder if they should pick up and leave Florida right now. Governor DeSantis Wednesday signed Senate Bill 1718. It will crack down on businesses and people who bring immigrants without permanent legal status into Florida.
We want businesses to hire citizens and legal immigrants, but we want them to follow the law and not do illegal immigrants.
When the law goes into effect in July, businesses could face a $10,000 fine for every undocumented employee, and the state could revoke their business license. Some workers are scared they'll be fired.
I think if you come illegally, you just get put back across the border.
Jessica Ramirez with the Farm Worker Association of Florida put into perspective how shaken communities are right now.
We're getting calls every day this week. We keep getting more and more telephone calls, and people are asking us, what should we do? We don't know whether we should leave, should we stay?
The bill states data will be collected about whether hospital patients are in the country legally.
They're going to be afraid to go to the doctor because of their status.
Nobody has a right to immigrate to this country, no foreigner. We determine as Americans what type of immigration system benefits our country.
When you look at the big picture, Ramirez said,
yeah, I talked about this extensively. Last week. But like Ron DeSantis once again putting the cart before the horse. Hey, dumbass. You're not supposed to actually punish businesses. I mean, he's not wrong. This is how you're supposed to literally stop immigration. I've said this so many times. If you truly want to stop undocumented immigration, you got to target businesses that hire undocumented migrants and actually punish them. Okay? But no one actually does that usually because you'll kill your agricultural production, you fucking idiot. The entire reason why immigration laws exist in the way that they do is so that there is a steady pool of underclass workers that do not have the legal protections afforded to natural-born and naturalized and documented immigrant labor. That's the whole reason. Fuck it, even documented immigrant labor actually is not beholden to the same level of legal recourse. They don't have that, which is why, Elon Musk can just take all the H-1B visa recipients and fucking force them to work, force them to work for like 12 to 13 hours a fucking day. Because if they don't, they're going to get kicked out of the country. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense to do this at all. You're just supposed to say immigrants are bad, not actually go after businesses that hire immigrant labor, dumbass. Unless you are not fearful of like some kind of economic collapse, which will happen.
Down illegal immigration in Florida. Governor DeSantis signed it into law on Wednesday. Let's go to ABC Action News reporter Keely McCormick joining us live from our satellite room. Keely, you've been...
This is the same energy as going after Disney, like actually going after Disney and utilizing like... utilizing government regulation against Disney. It's like, hey, idiot, Disney gives you like billions of dollars of fucking revenue. You're not supposed to legitimately hurt their bottom line. The whole conversation about Disney being woke and gay is to distract away from how much you're helping companies like Disney. You're not supposed to actually act on the culture war ship. Look at the abortion. Look at the abortion criminalization. Look no further than that if you want to understand that, like, you actually lose as a Republican if you do act out on the culture war ship. It's so stupid.
Following this story very closely for the past couple of days, what can you tell us now?
Well, James, some people are in support of this new law, saying it will deter migrants from coming to Florida. But others tell me they think it will drive a wedge between people in the Bay Area.
I'm a pillar of the community. the majority of Hispanics in Pinellas County are that way. And yet, by passing that law, whenever I go before to get any kind of service, any kind of interactions with anyone, they're looking at me as if I was undocumented.
Eliseo Santana is a veteran and former Pinellas County Sheriff's Office employee. Now he works as an advocate in the Hispanic community.
This is also so funny because, like, again, Florida is comprised of, like, a lot of Hispanic people. There are gigantic enclaves of Venezuelans, Cubans. There are so many fucking Latino and Hispanic people in Florida. So now Florida's like, yeah, hell yeah, brother. They're all undocumented. And now they're like, you know, like you're literally attacking your own reactionary base of support, mind you. Okay? It's just so funny.
Here in the Bay Area. He tells me he thinks the new immigration laws in Florida are going to negatively impact all people of color in the Bay Area, both documented and undocumented.
Yeah, no
My
shit.
conversations with anyone is not, are you documented? You know, I mean, that's not at the, but yet this law now makes it a priority for all of us, not just law enforcement, not just immigration people, but all of us to be able to have to put that barrier, that prejudice.
But people like Nikki Jones are in favor of this bill. Governor DeSantis brought her along to the signing on Wednesday. Jones is a mother of two from Plant City.
What is this fucking audio mixing, man? Fuck you, local news. Fix your shit.
She lost her husband to an undocumented driver a few years ago.
I am in complete support of this immigration bill because it is a start to protecting our family.
Bro, I'm sorry. R.I.P. to your husband, but there's nothing funnier than trying to combat drunk driving in Florida by going after undocumented immigrants. Like, you're not allowed to become a representative in the state of Florida unless you drive drunk. Okay? What are you, fucking, are you stupid? This is how you're going to tackle drunk drivers by fucking, by restricting immigration? What the fuck? If you want to fucking eviscerate drunk driving, just go after literally Matt Gaetz and every Florida politician, okay?
Families and children.
Let's take a closer look at the changes this new law will bring. It will now require hospitals that take Medicaid to ask about the patient's citizenship status.
This part is so
Businesses
gross.
with 25 or more employees will be required to e-verify employment screening. There will be tougher penalties for knowingly hiring or transporting undocumented people in the state. And the Florida Migrant Relocation Program will get another $12 million after previously flying almost 50 undocumented people from Texas to Martha's Vineyard. Some Republican lawmakers say the immigration package will act as a deterrent to a migrant influx. Others think it will hurt more than it will help. And Santana tells me he thinks the law was meant to instill fear in migrants and scare them away from Florida.
That is not the republic for which I served as a veteran, and that represents liberty and justice for all. And that application for all is not happening.
Whichever side of the aisle you fall on, these are the strongest state-led immigration laws in the country. Immigration policies generally set on the federal level. Governor DeSantis acknowledged that, but says he's fighting what he calls Biden's border crisis. Reporting live in our satellite room, Keely McCormick, ABC Action News.
Very odd.
Says this will ultimately impact Florida's economy.
So what's going to happen to the state? There's so many workers that are in construction, that are in roofing. Who's going to come and do that work? Who's going to do this work for low wages and do the work that's part of the backbone of our economy in the state?
Ramirez doesn't believe Governor DeSantis is doing this for good reason.
No doubt that our community is being used for electoral purposes and for political gain.
Ramirez believes Governor DeSantis is using these communities as scapegoats and wants to remind elected leaders our state depends on the very workers he's trying to get rid of. In the newsroom, Treasure Roberts, Getting Results, News 6.
Governor DeSantis holding a press conference this morning discussing the ongoing crisis at the southern border and signing a new state bill on immigration. The bill creates new hurdles for undocumented workers and patients in Florida. It imposes new data collection on hospitals and makes it illegal for undocumented workers to drive. The bill also includes $12 million to relocate migrants to blue states.
It is causing huge problems, and it's going to get a lot worse this week with the expiration of Title 42.
Title 42 ends tomorrow. Thousands of migrants are flocking to the southern border. Large groups have already been seen gathering in Mexico. The program, put in place by President Trump, allowed border officials to quickly expel migrants during the pandemic. The government estimates about 150,000 migrants are already camped out in northern Mexico.
This isn't even true. Like, such awful fucking framing. These are asylum seekers, okay? These are asylum seekers that are doing the right thing, trying to seek asylum. And they're making it seem like these guys are like invading.
Pushback tonight on Florida's newest controversial bill, which targets illegal immigration.
Local immigration activists say the legislation creates fear in communities and impacts the economy.
And that's a lot of people in South Florida. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is talking to farm workers in Homestead who are already feeling it.
Dolores Lucas says she will leave the state of Florida, where she has lived and worked for 6 years. In tears, she told me this is painful, what she and her 5 children are facing. If you leave, where would you be going? She says she does not know where will she move to. What are you going to do?
I'm going to stay. Me voy a quedar.
Judith Peralta has been in the U.S. for 10 years. After her native Mexico, this is the place that she calls home. If you get sick, and if you have to go to a hospital, what are you going to do? She says that's the toughest question being asked, and she may have to actually choose to do home remedies.
And that was Yvonne Taylor reporting an historic moment in this country as Title 42 comes to an end. New immigration rules take effect tonight at midnight.
Yeah. That news coverage is actually incredibly humanizing, and then immediately paired up with like these fucking the scourge is coming. These parasites are coming over, and be fearful. You must be fearful of this. I want more coverage on this.
Hospitals required to ask citizenship status and drivers punished if they transport people who are undocumented.
It's all part of a new immigration bill Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law today.
West 2 Night Gabrielius is live in Orange County tonight after speaking with immigration lawyers and advocates about the effects of the measure.
The governor calls it the strongest anti-illegal immigration law in the country and says it's his way of fighting back against President Joe Biden's border policies. There are several layers to this new law. One that is worrying people the most is the punishment that can come with driving undocumented immigrants here in the state of Florida.
These are sets of laws that were created in the name of xenophobia, not in the name of good policy and what's best for our state.
Hope Community Center in Apopka serves roughly 16,000 immigrant youth and families seeking education and citizenship. One of their leaders is worried a new Florida law could break their haven.
Important sectors of our economy, like agriculture, almost 50% of farm workers are undocumented.
In Florida, businesses with 25 workers or more will have to e-verify who they hire to avoid penalties. It's part of Senate Bill 1718, which Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law Wednesday. Among several things, the law will also require hospitals to collect data on a patient's citizenship status.
We know that immigrants are afraid of authority. Now that we're adding another layer, people are literally going to be too afraid to go to the doctor, to go to the hospital.
The law says drivers could be punished for transporting undocumented immigrants, but an immigration attorney says there are some gray areas.
Latest and final bill that was signed into law was actually talking about transporting people over state lines in Florida. So I'm not sure that this is something that's going to be applying to individuals just for driving their spouse to work.
He adds it specifically applies to people who have crossed the border or entered the United States illegally, and not to someone who's overstayed their visa.
How's an officer even supposed to pull somebody over to assume they might be transporting somebody unlawfully? Is this going to affect more racial profiling or frivolous stops?
Yes.
We wonder how much of this is to be enforced or in theory, or how much of this is political posturing.
In a tweet, the governor said in part, human smuggling will not be tolerated in Florida. Knowingly transporting an illegal immigrant into Florida will result in 5 years in prison and a $5,000.
Bro, who's smuggling? From what border into Florida? Like illegal immigrant. Motherfucker's acting like he's in El Paso. Like, what are you saying? No, actually, like, what are you saying? Like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, what is happening? Because I know his ass ain't talking about Cubans, right? I mean, that's like a big constituency there, so good luck with that. And they're not driving here.
Fine per offense. Transporting 5 or more or a convicted smuggler will result in a $10,000 fine and up to a 15-year prison sentence.
Advocates say lawsuits could be filed soon. Hope Community Center, along with Florida Immigrant Coalition and some business leaders, are planning to hold a press conference in response to this new law tomorrow. Reporting live in Orange County, HasanAbi React, Watch 2 News.
I think it's wild that Ron DeSantis came after, one, Disney, which is like a multi-billion-dollar operation for Florida, and is now coming after the entirety, because 50% of the labor force in the state of Florida's agriculture is undocumented, which means that's it. You have eviscerated every part of agricultural output from Florida. Like, if he fucking, I don't know, if he like makes the fucking Cuban sandwich illegal, it's like you've hit the trifecta. You know what I mean? Ron DeSantis is coming after nightclubs and Cuban sandwiches. It's over. It's like, why the fuck would anybody go to Florida anymore? Like, what is in Florida now? It's just swamps. It doesn't make sense. I don't think he understands that, like, this is what makes Florida Florida, so it's weird. Like, stick to the fucking woke shit, dumbass.